Welcome, friends and colleagues, to another episode of The Power of Intentional Partnerships, a mini-series I created to showcase our talented partners while supporting you all as a community to share information about building partnerships in an intentional way within your community or your own network and business. And if you work in a traditional role, how to build strong collaborations within teams and organizations. Now, this latter part is an evolution from an extension of our initial version of the series, where we receive some curious questions. As you know, these are some of my favorite kinds. Curious questions from attendees about how can they influence change more and build better cross collaboration in their organizations as individual contributors. Something I'm reflecting on coming into today's episode, and that this guest and I both appreciate, is not just collaboration or a strong partnership, but the wonderful things that can come from change. And incorporating that feedback from our attendees early on in this mini series was just one mini way that change can happen. One example of gaining stakeholder buy-in. Some things I talked about in a class I instructed for UW-Madison on the principles of change and wrote an article on a couple weeks ago, but I digress. I can't wait for this guest to share more on their opinions of change and the process of change and project management and all the things for wherever the conversation may go, because the beauty of these conversations is that we have some core framing, of course, and some of that will center around our own collaborations within the partnership, what we hope to do, but also that the conversation goes organically where it needs to go. You can contribute to that too. Share your questions and your thoughts. We love hearing from you. It's one of my favorite things about this mini series. In these episodes, we bring you CEPHR friends, guests, and partners, and you get the opportunity to learn about them, their amazing work, and the work that we do together. As I said, you'll hear tips for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, gain some tools and wisdom, and hopefully pick up some best practices on partnering with others. So leave those questions and thoughts. We're so glad you joined us today to listen in live or on Team Replay. We are streaming live to both of our platforms today. So that's LinkedIn, YouTube, and you can watch past episodes of this series on our YouTube channel at CEPHR. We are so grateful for community, and today's guest does a beautiful job under shared values of creating community too. I can't wait for you to meet him shortly, and I've certainly built up the mystique. So before I bring him on, let me tell you just a quick little bit about him. His name is Alex Tuck. Alex is founder and managing principal of Tuck Consulting Group, a minority-owned management consulting firm specializing in helping small businesses deliver complex projects and products quickly at a fraction of the cost of other solutions. Alex is also host of the Project Zero podcast, and I love his story about how he founded Tuck and watching him build culture at Tuck Consulting Group. I'm so fascinated by Alex's work and Tuck's work, and it's something I'm constantly learning about and getting better at from him and his team in this regard. We'll let Alex share more about that in his words right now. Alex, please come up to the stage. Let me find Alex. There he is. Thanks for your patience as I work with Restream. Alex, please tell the world about all your amazing work that you do.
Oh my God, Tiffany, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you. Like every time I have a conversation with you, I just get so much energy over here. So anyway, I have to hold myself back. But anyway, I'm so excited to be live with you today.
Likewise.
Hello, everyone that's watching live or who's watching on replay right now. My name is Alex Tuck, and as Tiffany said, I'm founder of Tuck Consulting Group. We're about a 60-person project management consulting firm, all U.S. based and mostly U.S. based customers. And we help nonprofits, healthcare companies, and professional services firms improve their project management practices. And we do that through many different ways. We do strategic program management work, as well as something as simple as just helping you set up your work management system or project management system in your organization. And the way that we got to know Tiffany originally, gosh, we met Tiffany several different ways. First of all, I cold outreached her on LinkedIn when I saw that she was.
I love this story.
That she was speaking at the Nonprofit Technology Conference a couple of years ago, and then I liked her stuff so much that we then hired her and her team to help us work on some culture stuff and build our DEIB policy. and language for our website and for our internal use. And actually, Tiffany, I just dusted off some of the work that we did to do some of the work this quarter on some of our OKRs. So anyway, I'm very excited to be here, Tiffany, and to talk about our partnership a little bit more.
I love it. I love it. I'm curious for everyone, and I don't even know if I've ever asked you deeper than just, hey, you saw that I was speaking at this conference. You said you liked the work, and thank you for starting that conversation around what we, how you kind of found us. But what was it that sparked that inspiration to reach out initially? What are you excited to partner about and do more of?
Oh God. So good question. So originally, for me, the reason why I started the company is because I saw an opportunity within the management consulting industry to do something different. And so fortunately, post COVID, the industry started to change already, right? Young folks were not going to work 80-hour weeks. They weren't going to be okay with a lack of diversity in the leadership groups. And they also weren't okay with overcharging clients for, lower quality work. And so we wanted to build something that was different. And part of that is, defining our values and then having that drive all the work that we do. And so when we find a new client or a new vendor or a new partner or a new consultant for our firm, it's always steeped in those values and the values alignment there. And so when we found out about CEPHR and you, Tiffany, like we knew, like I knew right away that there was going to be very strong values alignment, and I knew I needed to meet this person and this organization. And so that's what really drew me to the org to begin with. First as just a colleague, and then I knew that I saw the work that you were doing around DEIB and company culture and inclusion in companies. And so like that drew us to like hiring you all to help us with some of that work. And then a few months later, we fast forward and it's like, oh, wow, we actually would be really good partners too, because some of our clients could benefit from some of the work that you're doing. And that's what we really look for in partnerships in general is strong values alignment, similar company personas, like target personas with who we're working with, and similar, like not similar, but adjacent needs, right? So we're delivering project management services and work management services to our clients. So we're usually typically working with the COO or the CEO of the organization. And so it's a logical thing for them to say, shoot, I'm really dealing with this challenge within my organization. I really can't motivate people to do X, right? Or we don't know our why as an organization. And so that's where, CEPHR can come in and really be helpful for our clients.
Yeah, thank you. It's so fun. I always tell people we got to have fun at work, and we had so much fun working together, but the fun for me is when I get to work with leaders like you who and your team. Like, I don't know how many times I told your team. I see Erica's out there in the comments. Thank you all for joining. I see everyone saying hello to each other in the chat. If you have questions or thoughts as we move along, please let us know. I love your story, Alex, and how you founded the company. I love, watching you build this team and the intentionality. And I have to say that I don't always see it to that level. So you were not worried. You were concerned about wanting to make sure that what went out publicly on the website was the right thing, right? But I also watched you do that from the inside. So many times we see the glossy outside, right? Social media is a great example, but people put their mission, vision, value up. You all are very transparent about the things that you're doing out there and some of the things you're involved in, and it's so cool to watch. But the other thing that I really love is I watched you do this ground up, and you were, when we'd have our calls, you'd talk about, all the different impacts and your own partners and how, what's the experience going to be like. And that to me, just like even today, I have goosebumps. That is how you do culture right. Is there anything you want to add to that or share with our audience? What was important and why was it so important that you did it that way so intentionally?
That's a really good question. We we were pretty. If you remember, like it was pretty painstaking. Like we were just like, oh, geez, I want to make sure that we include this, and I want to make sure we include this, but we don't want to dilute the message, right? And
Mhm.
so, because words matter so much, right? And especially right now, like it's like we actually thought about like, do we need to rethink what our DIB page looks like even now. Like we had
Mm,
multiple clients who lost grant funding and things like that. And so we're like, do we think that our position jeopardizes their potential to
mm,
access funds and do things like that? And so and then we made the decision not to do anything, right? And to double down and make that still a really important part of what we do. And the five core team members participated in our DEIB policy creation and our what we called like the net positive impact
mhm,
statement that we still have on our webpage. And I think that because everyone was able to contribute to that, and we kept going back and forth about our values and how do we dilute it down to something that is powerful, sends a clear message, but then for everyone internally that it's important to us, and then also externally let them know that like, hey, this is the company that we are right now. And we wanted to set it up in a way like I've had almost every consultant that applies says, oh my God, I love this page that you all have here. And they reference it out of all the stuff that we have on our website, like
mm,
80, 100 pages plus all the articles.
mhm,
That's the thing that they reference. And then we have clients too that also engage with us because of that. And they mentioned like, hey, that's a really important reason why we decided to go with you all. And it also filters out some of the clients that we don't necessarily need to work with either, right?
mhm.
So anyway, it's fun. It's hard. It's hard. Very very hard decisions. But it was an important one to make. So
Yeah, I love that. And that's why, see, we're in our I even got
yeah,
Alex to wear the t-shirt. We send all of our
yeah,
partners one of our tees, and I do write a personal note on our letterhead and all that stuff. And oh my gosh, you did it! I love it. Yes, see, this is not just
it's on my
it's
desk.
not the, oh, I love that. Thank you. It's not the glossy outside, right? Like this is hard work, and especially when you talk about in the DEIB realm. And one of the reasons that I was so excited when we began this partnership conversation is like, yes, let's deepen this relationship. We value the same things. We think about building teams and culture the same way. We approach our clients and other partners differently, right? But under those aligned values, and it's so important. Can you talk about the importance of how your values drive? And I know this again, these go organically. I have not some of these questions I've not asked Alex, but I know he's equipped.
Mhm.
To how important are those values to how you deliver your projects, and what does it take for your clients to see that in the work that you're
Yeah. Good question. So, again, everything goes back to having a net positive impact, right? And just to state what that is to us, there's a couple of different things out there. There's actually a book written about net positive impact,
doing?
and that really spoke to me because these were for-profit entities, like big corporations that made a decision to like no matter what, right? They have to they have to speak to the shareholders, right? They have to represent the shareholders because that they're legally obligated to do that. But that doesn't mean that they don't have to do good work and have a positive impact on the things around them. And so having a net positive impact is like at the core of what we as an organization are trying to do. We just every few months we have a monthly all consultant meeting where everyone comes, and in this past month we threw the values back up on the slide and then made sure that like we tied everyone back to that. And we try to do that like every 3 to 6 months just to remind everyone like, hey, look, this is a really important part of who we are. And so anyway, the net positive impact can mean different things for different companies, right? And for us, we want to have a positive impact on the communities around us, the families around us, the friends around us, And then also, like the environment and everything else that's around us. And so we take on clients that are also focused on that. They're not all saving the whales, right? Like, but they are doing good work and having a positive impact in the organization or in the communities around them. So that's like that's the umbrella, that's the core. And then, the big one, so I have servant leadership is one of the 3 core values, right? Just having our folks focus on how do we contribute to the success of the project. We are the leaders of the project, but at the same time, like, I'll change the trash or like mail things out to people and do things like that. And so like just stepping in and being supportive however you can that way. Integrity, like we went back and forth on integrity because like integrity should just be table stakes, right? But we wanted to make sure that like everyone understood that like that was one of the 3 important things for us. And then growth. So like growth, not in the dollar value growth, but in the growing ourselves. So everyone within the organization is constantly growing. Like we have channels specifically devoted to learning, like, how to use ClickUp better and things like that. And so, just whether it's certifications or learning from each other or anything like that, those 3 core values drive, basically that net positive impact. So it's very, very important for us. And then we also try to instill that in the clients around us and the partners around us and everything in between. So
I love that. And I love that. Number one, we also use ClickUp. So this is where one area I'm also learning and you've been so gracious, you and your team, to, offering up your support to help me learn. Cause I'm like, I think I'm just doing like the basics here. I need to get better. Right. But, that being said, I do appreciate that we both share this value of growth and not just from a revenue perspective, right? We also have a value at CEPHR of growing self and others because we recognize that as a team, that's important. But then, we are responsible for helping our clients be empowered and grow and learn and helping them help their clients. And doesn't that just help us all and help the world? So I love that. I think that that's so awesome. Before we started the live stream, we were talking about one of the conferences, actually the one that we met at, and we were discussing, maybe some perceptions people have about project management, and maybe they don't think that's fun. And I think that you all make it so fun. You're such a great team. What do you want people to know about project management? Like, what should they know that would make them think it's more fun? Because I think it's pretty cool, but I'm a nerd, so.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. I talk about like how my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, says it the best. She's like, "Dad, can I listen to your podcast so I can fall asleep tonight?"
Oh my gosh. The brutal children.
No, and then but she's like, "No, Dad, I'm just joking. I actually think your podcast is really cool, and I think project management is really interesting." And I'm like, I did not pay her to say that, Isabel. She actually said that on purpose. But I think project management can be cool. But it's cool because project management should be boring, right? Like, and what I mean by that is that if you have the right structures in place to run your projects, to run your operations, to do whatever it is, whether your tools have automations in them or whatever, you should be able to sit down at your desk on a given day and know exactly what you should do and be able to focus on the stuff that you're really good at and not focus on trying to figure out like, what should I work on? And that's what good project management does. Right. And so, for us, like we run our entire operations off of like ClickUp is our core engine, right? And so we have all the bells and whistles with ClickUp, right? Like we're a top 5 ClickUp implementer in the world, and so we have the enterprise plan and AI and all the automation set up, right? And so our team has invested in hours and hours and hours of work to just be able to sit down, think strategically once a quarter, like, hey, these are the things that I'm going to work on this quarter, and anything else outside of this other than like general operations, is not as important as the stuff that's here, right? And then that drives the weekly planning, and then the daily planning, the hourly planning. And we don't have to think, like, we think once a quarter to plan the OKRs, and then we think once a day on like what we're going to work on for that day, and that's it. And so that's sort of the power of project management. And I'll just say, like, where we have a very similar overlap, we work in other industries too, right? But the reason why you and I got to know each other to begin with was because of our nonprofit work that we do. And something that I find very interesting is within nonprofits, there is tons of there's unlimited amounts of project and work management, right? Like unlimited amounts. You have very few resources, money, time, people, and you're expected to do this incredible amount of work. There's unlimited amounts of work that are there. And so a lot of folks within nonprofits understand project management. They know that it's important, yet we don't have the budgets to actually have a project manager. So everyone's a project manager in the organization. And so that's really where we've started to have people start thinking, like, honestly, I don't think project managers are going to exist, at least the way that we have them today. Now with AI and everything, like, I think 80% of the work that we do as project managers is almost gone, right? But we're all going to become project managers in the future, right? We might be functional leaders too. We might be CEOs, whatever, but we have to manage work, and we have to manage projects. And so I think it's going to be really important for us to understand, how do we use tools to enhance the work that we're doing? And how do we learn enough about project management to understand how to organize the work that we're doing? So that's really, I mean, that's sort of what we've been talking about a lot of recently, is just how do we empower everyone with the skills for project management without necessarily having the role as a project manager.
Oh, there are so many nuggets in there to unpack.
Yeah, I know.
But in a good way, right? Because one, when we talk about growth, this is fun fact, y'all, this is how you watch the thread of people's values come through, because it becomes behavioralized. And this is, we have another partner who talks about this a lot. You can have all the values you want, but unless you just described beautifully, Alex, how your team breaks that down, right? Like, you're clearly good at what you're doing, that they have quarterly, monthly, weekly, and even daily. And it is very hard to get distracted, disrupted, to cast things aside. But when you're focused and intentional about it, and everyone comes with that project manager mindset, which is definitely a mindset, like, I'm still leaning and growing into my own. I love that. I think it's so inspiring.
Yeah, and Tiffany, I can vouch for Tiffany's skills as a project manager. She is fully she is fully all in on it. I mean, you have a PM tool. I know so many professional services groups like our size that they don't even have a tool, right? And so that if you don't have it in front of you, you can't do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And we're responsible. I believe, part of our value of strategic excellence at CEPHR is around making sure we're delivering, and making sure that we're not just doing things to do it, that we're not, no repeat. We consider ourselves agile. I mean, small, scrappy, bootstrap business, right? Like, sometimes we're walking the walk with our clients. And I think understanding, I figured that out pretty quickly. Now, how fast I was to implement that is different, but I'm so grateful for the support we have. And it really has shifted my own mindset of, when you have those shifting and competing priorities, when you're getting pulled in a million directions, when you have an opportunity to go speak and you're like, okay, well, can I do that? Or do I have a responsibility elsewhere? Can that be pushed aside? And is this something that makes sense? And what's the priority and what's the value, right? Like, how do we wrap that around it? And I love ClickUp. I know people use lots of different tools. I have used different project management tools. It is the one that I resonate with most, and it's helped me get stuff done. And I am a get stuff done girl. So I love this idea of everyone becoming a project manager, just like everyone, I believe, is a leader, right? We all have to be self-led first. And so it's such an important thing. What do you think I'm curious of your perspectives. You said that you all have automation, you got like the super click up bells and whistles. How do you see AI shifting the role of the project manager and how we're ultimately gonna do work? What do you think that looks like?
Well, yeah. So we have 60 project managers who only do project management, and so we have a lot to think about, right?
Yes.
And we're trying. Like, I don't know if anyone, if you're not allowed to call yourself a leader in it, right? Because like leaders are people that are leading and people are following, right? But I will say that we're investing a lot of time and in putting in testing a lot of, pushing the envelope of like what AI can do for project managers, and we're writing about it, and we even have like an AI for project managers page,
Mm-hmm.
techconsultinggroup.com/AI, and
Great.
we're really trying to learn everything there is about how AI can be used within the project management realm. And so, with that being said, we sort of surveyed our consultants and we're like, hey, look, where do you think this is going to go for us? And my personal prediction is like, I wrote down all the work that a project manager does: taking notes, sending out, creating action items, putting it into the project plan, tracking down things, motivating people, doing all those things. And honestly, if you put a mark next to the things that are really boring, and you put a mark next to the things that can be automated or done by AI, those marks line up almost 100%. So we don't need to take meeting notes anymore. We can actually facilitate conversations instead. So you turn
Mm-hmm.
on the recording or you have your AI note taker come in, and it comes in and takes notes better than we do, and and creates action items better than we do, and then you let that work go away, and then you can focus on motivating the people and leading the people and trying to figure out like what are the decisions that need to be made, what are the risks and issues that need to get driven. And so that's where I see AI, playing a huge role, is taking out some of the monotonous stuff that frankly every PM hates doing that stuff too anyway. Like, it's the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that we wish we didn't have to do anyway, and on big projects like a coordinator will do it. And so it allows for project managers to do the thing that they actually love and they're best at, which is motivating people and influencing.
Mhm. I love that. I think that, it's we use it as well, but maybe not as great as you you all are. So I'm feeling some inspiration vibes coming on here. But I see you all from our side of the house, the partnership house, as a leader and a firm who can help us be better, help our clients be better. And just there's so many questions. Unless you live and breathe that, it's a whole discipline. Truly, literally and figuratively. It is a whole discipline, and it, like I said, could be easy to discard. But if you want to do things at a deeper level, I love how you're embracing AI, because I agree. I use that, and if that thing doesn't come into my meetings, I'm like, where is it? I'm scrambling to look for it. Let's get it in this meeting, because it does the action items, and there's automation you can put behind that, which I think is amazing too.
Yeah, and I mean, what I think AI is doing for us, and the advancement of all the tools. We keep talking about ClickUp, and I'm partial to ClickUp. Love ClickUp. We work on 20 other PM tools too, right? So like,
Oh
I
my.
mean, and a lot of those tools also have great features, positives and negatives
Hmm.
in them as well. But I think the key is to figure out like how to stay on top of all of those things. And right, that's when we thought about like, okay, 80% of our work is done right now. Does that mean that we get more time with our families, right? Does that mean that we run more projects? Does that mean that we do something else, right? And I think the answer is all of those things happen. But as an organization, we're really thinking, okay, how can we help people, come up with a framework for like how they can adopt AI and how they can integrate and how they can automate more of their processes, and almost be shepherds from that perspective of
Hmm.
like, hey, look, we're going to lead and we're going to motivate and we're going to help people get this project across the finish line. But, our goal at the end is really to help all of our clients be able to do that themselves, right? And turn everyone into a project manager. And so like we want to work ourselves out of a job there. And maybe we do some strategic work, and help people continue to adopt and build new things. But, there's a great democratization that's happening right now with the work that we're able to do. And so I think the more curious that people are about how new tools can be used, and how to pass work off to one another, in an automated way, but then also still create spaces for like that human interaction. Like that's sort of I think that's the biggest challenge, but also the biggest opportunity with AI.
Yeah. And Carol Jean, thank you, Carol Jean, for being here too. She says the people human factor of project management is essential. And I popped this up before too, because I'd love to hear, I mean, you're sharing lots of ways where that can happen, but what do you think from like a human perspective? Because, she says too, technology is creating space for us to learn into deeper or lean, both. I think it's both, into deeper and more authentic connection. So you talked about being able to pass stuff off both in an automated fashion, which keeps us, a well-oiled machine, right? But then also, how do you see that connecting your team, or how they connect to partners or consultants, clients? What does that look like because we know there's got to be some human intervention. Tell us your perspectives, Alex.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, like on my pod, I think we're coming up on episode 20 here. And I've been asking each person, like, what's the most important skill that a project manager has, right? And it's almost always some iteration of communication, right? So some people are like, okay, communication all out, and then we dig into the communication piece. Sabi just mentioned last week or the week before, influence, and so it's constantly like that is the most important role of a project manager, is connecting the dots, and having people communicate with one another. And so I think as we move into this new world where like we have agents everywhere, right? Like we have recruiter agents that like will come in and they'll do the things that we used to do as a person. Like we used to have to manually do the things, and now like my AI agent can give me a rating and then give me something to like respond to, right? And then we're still interviewing the person, we're still doing the stuff, right? But it allows for us to not spend that 15 or 20 minutes, doing something manually or typing things up or like reading entire 3-page resume or something like that. And so I think project managers in general, like if they can do nothing else for an entire project, it's helping the leaders understand what the people are that are doing the work on the project, and then it's helping the project people understand what the leaders want, and making sure that we're all moving towards the same goal. So that communication, I think, is like the only thing that's going to live past all this AI stuff. Because I think a lot of the work that we do, like the tinkering with dates and all that kind of stuff, that stuff's going to go away, or it's not even going to be that important. What's going to be more important is to make sure that we understand that we're still moving towards the right goal.
Yeah, love that. And I love how you continue to mention strategy, because the words that are jumping out to me in this whole conversation, and that are important, and where we're also values aligned, it's strategy, it's communication, it's influence, there's change, right? There's automation, which is the tech and advancement of it. And I think that those things are also important. But if we don't have communication, it's why at CEPHR we're always talking about emotional intelligence. How do we lead from where we are? Chasen's and he's another partner in the audience, and we do this quarterly leading from the front. It's based around mostly DEIB. We talk about leading from the front. We have to do that and be self-led. We have to communicate. We have to be able to understand that if we don't have communication, no matter how many tools you have, if you don't have the right structures, right, what do you put? It's kind of garbage in, garbage out. You have to have something solid to put even into ClickUp or whatever tool. And I just appreciate how you get that at such a deep level, and you're instilling that within the work that you're doing at Tuck. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so fun. I mean, like almost every single engagement that we do starts with just like understanding what work is trying to be done, like how do we do it today and why do we do these things? And so we almost always start with just like a business process map. Like you can just go back to the basics. It's like, okay, how do you
Mhm.
do work today and how do you want to do it in the future? Um, and a lot of times people forget to do that part. They just jump in and start using the tool or whatever. And it's the same like with the work that you do, right? Like you start with
Mhm.
the basics too, right? Like you're like, okay, what does the organization look like? What's your goal? And then you have your strategy, and then you can do all the fixing, right? That's the tactical stuff that
Yeah.
frankly I think is easier, right? Like, I mean, it's easy if you have the right people at the table. But
Mhm.
but figuring out the work and the why that's the hard part.
Yeah, and it's so critical, but this and I just, I think everybody knows I nerd out on change, but it's you have to have the basics. And I think we, you know, in the article I was talking about just the different types of change, and we so because of we're wired for instant gratification as humans, it's just how we're made up. We want like the fast, I want it done. I want it done now. I want to get to the end. But if we skip all that other stuff, this is where you talked about making it boring, then we miss critical steps along the way. And good change requires us to sit down and answer those hard questions, to understand whether it's you and I and we're talking to a client, whether it's us as partners, we're talking to our team. We have to get those basics down, or it's not gonna work. Yeah, we all want to get to the end when this is done, but we also that leaves room for to celebrate in the middle, those little milestones. And I'm sure you all are doing that every day.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, most people think project management, they think about change management, whether it's ProSci or some other, structure that you're using for
Mhm.
change management. And frankly, like we can build a great change management plan, right? And it's going to involve all the communications, make sure everyone's included along the way. And it works, it's going to be helpful, but it comes down to like the company culture, like the work that you're doing, Tiffany, at CEPHR, that like if there's not a culture of like growth and like improvement within the organization, then we can build the best change management plan on the planet and it ain't doing anything, right?
100 plus one plus one plus one plus one.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
So true. Um, is there anything else you want people to understand about the art? I believe it's an art of, there's a little bit of science too, right? There's a fair bit of science of project management, and you know why people may resist either finding that right tool, or what from your perspective is like the go-to reason to make sure that you have some sort of system.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing. I I do that. I tell this story because I think it makes other project managers gasp when they hear it. But like, I let my PMP expire, and I did it on purpose. And there were many reasons for it. But like, what PMI is such an amazing organization, Project Management Institute, such a great organization, such a wealth of tools. There's so many volunteers that spend so many hours developing the curriculum, just on their own time and on their own dime. And so I'm so grateful for the organization and I love participating in it. And I've been a member forever.
Mhm.
Um, that being said, I think a lot of times that rigor that's out there scares the heck out of anyone that ever thinks about getting into project management at all. And
Hmm.
so um, the thing I try to tell everyone is that project management does not have to be that at all. Nothing even close to that. Project management, or I don't even like using project management. It's like work management, like the work that we do in organizing the work that we do, right? Um, that can be whatever you and your team want it to be. And so, I would just say like it's great to have a project management consulting firm or like someone that's done the project management thing before. It's awesome to have someone with that knowledge of what is possible come in and help you think. Then you need to figure out does that serve how does that serve the organization, or how does that serve our client, or how does that serve whomever? And then you just take the pieces out of that matter, that are important for you. And so, we're working on a series now. We've been doing it for a while, where we're just writing about, like, okay, for small businesses, right? You don't need, a level blah blah blah. You just need a few tools, right? Like, have a really good kickoff deck with, like, your charter, and like why the project, like the definition of success for the project, and that's it,
Mhm.
right? Like, you don't need anything more than that. Have a simple tool. You don't need, you know 900 line project plan, because no one's going to follow it and no one's going to do that, right? But, like, write down who is responsible for what and what the goal dates are, and then go from there. And so I think that's the key, is to make project management or work management not scary for your organization, if you actually want to get adoption across it, and start really small and iterate. Because, I mean, we've changed the way that we have ClickUp in there like 3 or 4 times now, because ClickUp keeps getting better and different. And so we
Mhm.
want to set it up a different way within our organization. So I think just being flexible and nimble and growing, whether you're a big organization or a small one, I think anyone can benefit from that.
Yeah, I love that, and I love this series. It makes me, every time it comes across my desk, I'm like, "Ooh, what are we learning today?" Because our small businesses, like you said, they're usually under resourced, all those the nonprofits, and it's small. You make it so actionable, and you just make it sound so easy. Because people do, they worry about it being too much, or how do I even get started? There's a sense of overwhelm. I'm speaking for myself and what I've heard from other people, and it can be hard, but that can prevent you from starting. And I love how you talk about iterating. It is a continuous process. It's to drive continuous improvement, right? To improve processes. And a lot of times people make it so much bigger. Even, one of the things that the services we offer is helping people. You need an HRIS, you need a CRM, you need to, help have a vendor such as Tuck to help support you with different things. Is why are you doing it in the first place? Let us come to a state of understanding. Get on that kickoff call, right? Set the agenda for what the engagement looks like, and help you prepare a wish list, help you think about, why are you doing this? And are you sure that's the right tool or method? And that's our job, right? To help consult around that so that it makes sense for the organization and the culture that you're trying to build. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this conversation.
Oh, I know.
Um,
Yeah, same.
Good
Like,
grief.
the culture thing, Tiffany. Oh my God, it's like the work that we did a year and a half ago. It's just changed the way that we approach things. And this quarter, we actually have an OKR focused on looking at our consultant journey, and like, how do we enhance that even
Mm,
further. And that came from the work that we did previously. Like, we were looking at,
so
like,
cool.
okay, how are we recruiting, and are we, what areas are we recruiting from, like what platforms are we using, and that was all great, and we've gotten these really cool outcomes. But then it's like, how do we enhance the consultant journey? Because we think about our consultants as our clients too, like our core team does.
Yeah,
And so how do we make it better than just like paying really well, right? But, like, how do we start offering new programming, like new opportunities to learn and all that stuff. And it all comes back to the culture, right? And
yeah,
and the project management, the work that we do, the actual professional services that we do, that all is easy as long as we have the culture that's there.
yeah,
So yeah, it's good
yeah.
stuff.
And if people underestimate, or they overestimate what culture is supposed to be, right?
Mhm.
You're gonna have one, whether you look at it, whether you're intentional about it or not, is where I'm going with this. And you all are doing such a beautiful job at this. I'm glad that we were able to be a part of your story. And thank you for sharing how things are and how that's been moving along. And I know we've touched base other times, and now more because we're partners, but it's been really cool. And you don't always see the impact of that, or you see it from a glimpse of a moment in time, but those little moments add up to big moments. And I'm so excited to hear all of that, and just how you talk about like work management. I think words matter, like you said. We focus so much on the word, like what does culture mean? And yes, let's define things and establish a shared language. But sometimes people get so hung up on that, just like you talked about the rigor and the PMI, and we people forget you can make it your own. Your culture is not exactly the same as mine, though we work under very shared and aligned values. It's still going to be different. So I one thing that I would share with folks is, it's great to look at what is this competitor doing, who's leading in this industry, in this sector, whatever that looks like, but make it your own, because your culture is your own. And these are unique individuals that make up your culture. So I'd add that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I'm curious from your perspective, like when we threw out the idea of being partners, like this beyond the obvious of us working together and you understanding all of our good and bad internal. There's no bad. There's no bad. But
There is no bad.
knowing our struggles and thinking about like how we build culture, like what made you say yes to going into partnership together with us?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I had a great conversation with Andrew, and because I had worked with you all, because we too want to work and partner with people under shared values. And I was even more excited after working with you all, because I saw how you're making change from inside out. And when you, even just now, when you talked about the consultants, the hyper focus on, and I hope they're listening and they get to hear this, because not everybody is that focused on their team, and especially when they may not be the core piece of the team, right? They're still important, they're still driving change, they're still making things happen. You are a team that makes things happen, and you care about your community. I could just go on and on about the number of ways that worked, but you're real people doing great work, and who want to enhance the culture. You understand that you have a great culture. There's no bad, but you had this beautiful opportunity to say, hey, here's a person. Here's Tiffany. We met her. Perhaps she could help, right? And you saw this opportunity, but you did it the right way. And that for me was, of course, I would say yes. Okay, Andrew, let's get on the call. But the beautiful thing too is that, and I was reflecting on this yesterday and this morning coming into this conversation too, about how we vet our clients, we vet partners, we make sure there's a good mix. And I lit up when Andrew was like, let's explore some, let's make sure it wasn't just like, okay, even that you'd worked with me closely, right? That, I don't want to say that wasn't enough, but the fact that you went deeper, like, let's talk about what types of clients we work with. Let's talk about, industry. Let's explore where those gaps are. Just like it was like a project in and of itself that we were doing behind the scenes. And I was like, we're like, okay, yes. I'm like, give me some logos. You want a t-shirt? Let's do this. But we did the work because you want to make sure it is aligned. And I am just, yeah, thank you for asking me that question. I'm super excited for what comes next. I really am.
Same. It's awesome.
Yay. Thanks for asking. Anything else you want to wrap with today? Any tips, final thoughts on partnership work? Hey, there's Andrew. You got it.
Andrew's in it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Andrew's amazing. And he knows his stuff. Like every time I see something come through from him on Slack or something, I'm like, okay, what is it? But even how you survey folks, right? Like you're constantly taking in data, and we like that as well. So
I mean, I would love to share a little bit and brag about the work that Andrew's been doing, because I don't think. I mean, I hope someone's listening and they can tell me that I'm wrong here. But I think most partnership material and most partnership program, any of the stuff like that you try to learn about out there, is really geared towards SaaS organizations that are trying to grow their referral partnerships, and they are reseller partnerships, and that stuff's great. And we actually model our partnership program after that. Andrew's done an awesome job. Shout out to Bob Moore and starting Crossbeam, which is an awesome platform to share to figure out what mutual clients you have and mutual prospects you have. But he wrote this awesome book called Ecosystem Led Growth. And that's our partner. That's where we started with our partnership program, like trying to understand, what is there out there, in terms of partnerships, and like what should we build into our program and what should we take away. We just thought about it the same way that we think about the PMBOK for PMI. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, here's this big old book, and here are the things that we're going to do out of it. And but a lot of it's not relevant to the work that we do as services organizations when we think about partnerships, because it's not as transactional, you know. And so with services, it really meant like we think about our entire partnerships almost like a matrix. And so we work in different industry verticals like healthcare and nonprofit and professional services. And even within professional services, it's like financial services and banking and insurance and all these other groups. And so that's one column. And then there's the different services that are adjacent to ours, like software development, HR, company culture, strategy, like all the different things. And so I want to make sure that every single time I'm talking to a client, or any of my consultants are talking to a client, and they hear a problem that they have that we don't typically solve, right? Like, we're not able to move a project forward because we have conflict at the C-suite, and we need to fix that. Who do we call that's an expert at that? And so we want to fill each of those boxes in the matrix so that we can help our client be successful and help ourselves be successful in the implementations. And so Andrew's just done an awesome job. You've seen it firsthand, Tiffany.
Oh my
but
God.
like, just like, I mean, you should see our play. I mean, our playbook is like, I don't know, like 60 pages long, and we have like these different tiers of partners, and we've spent so much time on it, right? And Andrew touches base with each, like with our top tier X amount of times, and our middle tiers these amount of times, and our lower tiers get our newsletter, and we try to check in with them every single quarter. So there's like all this stuff that's happening. I'm like, Andrew, you got to post more and like share this information publicly, because no one is doing this for services at all. And so anyway, if I'll put the plug in right now, if any of you out there want to talk partnerships, you should talk to Andrew, because he's got something special going on here. And I mean, just from a pure revenue perspective too, like 30% of our revenue comes from conferences, and another 40% comes from partnerships. And partnerships are a huge part of that. So just as a business, it's really helpful. But then every single time we go in there, we're actually able to help our clients so much. Like, everyone's so grateful, and they're like, wow, the ROI on this is like 10x, And so, that's what we're trying to, those are the kind of partners that we want to have, is those partners that are going to 10x, the amount of cost in return on investment. So
I love that. Yeah, I agree. Andrew's amazing, and I'm sure he's going, okay, let's. I got some stuff to put out there publicly, and you all do such a great job at that. And I love following the journey, whether it's your individual LinkedIn pages. And you mentioned conflict, and I can't help that to say, like, Leslie's she had to run, but the conflict strategist learned so much from her too. So if you do find yourself, a small plug for her, in conflict, it's we need to get that out of our culture. So give her a call. I love this conversation. Thank you for just enlightening us. I am just still, he's already out there. Andrew in the comments putting up some helpful tips. So get out there in the comments, whether you're watching live or on replay, just so he's demonstrating lifetime why he's so amazing. But I love too how you talk about partnerships, and I agree that you don't see that every day, that personal touch, that very human touch. It's kind of like, okay, you're in the partner ecosystem, and you're like, hello, you have a question, where are these people who were so excited to have me on board? And that's why another reason that I love this, because I know that I can reach out to you directly. I can talk to Andrew, anyone on your team, and just that number one, I'm in good hands. And I know and can trust the knowledge, but also agree that impact that we can make when a client doesn't have to struggle, or even somebody else within the partnership, right? And the consultants, they may need something, and that can really help to have the right people and not have to go scrambling, and you have a trusted network. It's beautiful. It really is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Where
Thank you
can
so
people?
much.
You got it. Where is LinkedIn the best place for people to find you? How can people connect with you and Tuck?
Yeah. I mean, I'm religious on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/in/Alex Tuck. Easy peasy. You can go to our website, tuckconsultinggroup.com. And then there's a bunch of other contact information once you get out there. But feel free to book a call directly on our main website. That'll connect you with us. I would love to just talk, like if you just want to network, talk, brainstorm, do any of that kind of stuff. I love connecting with people, love learning from other folks, love connecting folks with other folks. So please do reach out and connect on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and Alex is great at that. That's how we met. And look where we are now. You're such a great conversationalist, too. I always love our conversations as well. So thanks for being here, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on another episode. We hope this has been helpful and impactful for you. I don't know how I couldn't. I can't wait to go. I always go back and watch these. And I'm so excited to watch today's. But we welcome any further thoughts and questions you have, whether you joined us live or on replay about anything you heard today. Hop in our DMs, find us on the websites. You can follow the work on our pages. And if any of this works out for you or something you want to learn more, please do reach out. Thank you so much again for joining us today, Alex, and telling us more about the amazing Tuck Consulting Group team and work management, helping us learn about tools and processes and systems and what it really takes. So thank you, everyone. And have a great rest of your week and happy early Bosses Day. That's tomorrow, if everyone didn't know. Be the leaders we need out there, and we're in your corner, and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks again, Tiff.